What an incredible plot twist. My heart was pounding the entire time I was watching it. Don't you agree? You schizophrenic?
What? Then, after I was sure I was alone, I picked up the handbook and casually opened it to the first page. No, no, no! Alright, let's see it. Oh my goodness! How's it going, everybody? HoodlaMutt here, back with some more Chaos Head Noah. And last time, we were trying to get through the second ending of this game, Crying Sky, trying to do all of the stuff we gotta do to get to the end. And part of doing that is we had to start a new game, and we have to view at least 10 of what I can see. You can't see it, but there are 18 delusions here that they give me the prompt for, of like what that delusion, what the correct delusion to look at is. So I have to do at least 10 of the 18. I'll probably end up doing all of them, while only giving yes answers along the way. So, because of that, and apparently avoiding the bad ending in Chapter 6. So hopefully I'll be able to do that and not screw up. It might be hard for me to remember, but we're going to hope that I can figure it out. So without any further ado, let's just get back into this and super speed through all the stuff we've already been through here. Hold on, I forgot I gotta move my crap over. I'm not used to using my keyboard, dude. Now I have to kind of use it some. Alright, here we go. Alright, let's see this one. Okay. This one. This one I have to have a negative delusion about. And I think, if I remember correctly, last time I did a positive delusion because I was like, well, there's no girls here, so it's whatever, it'll be fine this time. I'll do, this is one of the few times I can do a positive delusion, so. Okay, so yeah, so we gotta do negative for this one, so we'll see what this does here. There were only 5 calls on the list, which meant that, since I'd bought the cell phone, I'd only received 5 calls, 3 of which were from Nanami. That left 2 others. The one from earlier today and the one from 5 days ago were shown as numbers instead of names, as they hadn't been registered in my address book. They were both from the same number, 03X733X991. Considering they had gone out of their way to leave a message, it was probably someone who really wanted to tell me something. Okay, let's see. Uh-oh. Guess I'd go ahead and listen to it.
This is Kusunoki Yua.
Oh, it's Yua, what the frick?
I'm sorry for calling you so out of the blue like this. However, there's something I need to talk to you about, no matter what. I was able to buy the new Seira-chan figure. I couldn't have done it without you, Nishijo-kun. I'm very grateful. It's very cute, but a little lewd, wouldn't you say? When I was buying it, I was really embarrassed. Oh, that's right! Did you see this week's episode of Bloodtoon? What an incredible plot twist. My heart was pounding the entire time I was watching it. Don't you agree? You schizophrenic?
What?
You killed someone. Murderer. You're the true culprit. You will pay for your sins. I won't let you escape. Whose eyes are those eyes?
Oh, yo, what the frick? Even though it'd been my own delusion, I was terrified. It was entirely possible for Yua to have gotten a hold of my cell phone number from somewhere and called me after all. I didn't want to listen to the voice message anymore if I could help it. But since I'd already simulated the worst possible outcome in my delusions, I should have been able to handle it as long as I only had to listen and nothing else. Shaking off my depression, I set the message to playback. Then, after checking multiple times to make sure the demon girl wasn't there, I put the phone to my ear.
Welcome to the voicemail service center. You have one new message. Voicemail number 1. Friday, October 17th, 8:28 a.m.
Oh yeah, okay, so we've been through all this, right? So that's, yeah, okay, that's all the same. Okay, alright, cool. Alright, and then the police. This one, I have to do the negative option, and I'm nearly certain I did. I think I did the negative option, so this is all for chapter 4. I think I did the correct ones in the last playthrough, so this should be it, but just in case I'm wrong, we'll read through it anyway, and you'll see it skip if we already did it. The police. I gulped audibly. I remembered that I'd been questioned by a pair of detectives a while ago. I hadn't heard a single thing from them since then. They'd said they were going to guard the area surrounding my base, but there was no sign of them following through on it. Although, according to Miss Mikun, they'd apparently come to investigate Suime. Those 2 detectives. What were their names again? I couldn't remember. I told both of them the truth about what I'd witnessed at the scene of the crucifixion, but in hindsight, I couldn't help but think that they'd clearly been looking at me with suspicion as I did. Right as I thought that, the policeman who had been talking to the homeless man glanced at me. Or at least, that was how it felt. Oh no. I think we did this last time, let's see. No, I didn't do it that way. What did I do last time? I must have done neutral. Okay. So yeah, it won't let me skip. So, okay. Terrifying thoughts ran through my head. I sat up and looked around the park once again. The man who had been sitting on a bench while staring at his cell phone was taking quick glances at me. Or at least, that was what it felt like. Right then, a man with a stern face entered the park and sat down on the pipish fence, opened a newspaper, and started reading. In a dark place with next to no streetlights, a man, seemingly a businessman, who had been walking quickly through the park was now standing at the edge of the overpass, gazing down at the street below. The policeman who had been talking to the homeless man was now looking at me while contacting someone on his police radio. Cold sweat crept down my back. No. Were these guys cops? Maybe they were tailing me. If that was true, I was completely surrounded. Yua had already made up her mind and decided that I was a murderer. And then, based on her delusions, she'd probably gone and reported it to the police. You're kidding? I couldn't help but mutter that out loud, albeit at a volume low enough so that no one could hear me. Was this another part of Shogun's evil plan? I didn't do it! I didn't kill anyone! I'm not the murderer! Why should I, a coward who couldn't talk to people worth crap, be treated like a murderer and then subsequently chased by the police? Why did I have to get caught up in Yua's insane delusional bullcrap? Regardless, I couldn't stay here. My chest still hadn't stopped pounding, and it hurt to breathe, but I still had to get out of here. I made my way over the overpass, trying my best to look as natural as possible. Right in front of me was a staircase leading down to Mejidori. I'd go down it, and then I'd escape using the road. As I reached the middle of the overpass, a new figure appeared on the stairs. It was a woman, and judging from the suit, an office worker. She was holding a cell phone to her ear and talking with a blank expression on her face as she walked up the stairs. Could she be a detective too? I passed by her, my heart pounding the entire time. Whose eyes are those eyes? Yeah, shirts with that phrase on them are going crazy right now. I'm going to go and buy one this Sunday. They sell them on Takeshita Dori, which is located in Harajuku. I felt really uncomfortable. Her speaking style was really awkward. It felt strangely theatrical. Who the heck was she talking to anyway? Who was on the other end of the phone? Was she even talking to anyone at all? But in the end, the woman took no action against me. I finally made it to the stairs, and it was with relative ease. Upon reaching them, I looked back toward the park. The cop wasn't following me. He was standing in the same place as before, still talking into his police radio. One of the homeless people who had been sitting on the ground was starting to get up, but none of the other homeless people were moving. But then, before I knew it, the man on the bench and the man reading the newspaper both got up and started walking toward me. The two men then glanced at each other. They were exchanging looks. Or at least, it seemed like it. I then turned my gaze to the office worker once again. She had passed me a few moments ago, but now she'd turned her head to look at me. The second our eyes met, she turned back away with a start. Her cell phone was still up to her ear, but she wasn't speaking anymore. I was hit with an amount of fear that I had never experienced before, and I immediately bolted down the stairs. As I ran down Mejidori toward the station, I looked up at the overpass. The office worker was leaning over the railing and pointing at me. And it wasn't just her. Two men were sprinting across the overpass. They really were cops. All of them were cops. Crap! 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 This was all Yua's fault. She had set me up. Should I just tell them I was innocent? But even if I did, I couldn't get away from the fact that I was literally running away from the police right now. Besides, I was sure that the police would find some way to pin it on me regardless. They would never believe an otaku freak like me. I didn't have time to think about what would happen next. For now, I just needed to get away from Yua and the police. That was the sole thought occupying my mind. I passed under a pedestrian overpass and ran up the stairs leading to it. Still? Oh, there we go. Okay, now it's all the same. Okay, so. Alright, interesting. Alright, this is the next one. Okay. So, for this one, we're supposed to be positive. So that's what we'll choose. Don't screw me over, because I'm pretty sure Dimi's in the room. And I think Orihara at this point in the story, if I remember correctly. Don't do it. I'll freaking be upset. Alright, let's see. Here's another example. If person A sent an image from their brain to a hard disk recorder that processed it and transmitted the image to person B's brain, then person A's delusion would become person B's reality. Delusion becoming reality. In theory, it was possible. Holy crap, I was a genius, Lamau. I was over the moon by how brilliant my theory was. Maybe that was how I'd acquire a D-sword. Ayase had said they had something to do with delusions, hadn't she? Alright. I should hurry up and go home so I can look it up. Don't screw me. Don't screw me. Oh. Okay. I left the classroom and headed for the school entrance, refusing to let my eyes wander anywhere. As I made my way out, I stuck to my usual route, walking as close to the wall as I could, all while keeping my head low so that I wouldn't stand out. The final bell had already run a little bit ago, so while the students on cleaning duty or doing club crap were still around, basically everyone who'd opted to go straight home already had. School always felt somewhat lonely, or even wistful after the final bell rang. No matter where I went, it always felt that way. Whether they were ancient buildings made out of wood or newer structures like Suime. Well, not that I'd ever set foot in any wooden school buildings in anything other than Eroge. As I unconsciously walked through the corridor under the setting sun, my mind wandering around all sorts of inconsequential stuff, I spotted a strange figure coming toward me. It was a single girl waddling forward, carrying 2 large cardboard boxes. I couldn't see her face behind the boxes, and she probably couldn't see a thing in front of her. Someone was asking to eat crap. If this were an eroge, this scenario would 100% result in us running into each other and me tripping a flag. I thought about attempting to do just that, but concluded that it'd be best to keep it as just a thought. Because in reality, I didn't want to actually do it. Instead, my alarm bell started going off. There was a legitimate possibility that she was one of Shogun's assassins. Stay away from her. Be extremely careful. I paid careful attention to each of her steps. She kept drawing nearer, sometimes tilting to the left or to the right. I, meanwhile, kept walking along the left wall of the corridor. As the girl started moving to her right, I sped up. We then passed each other without any issues. But right then, I heard something fall, and I quickly turned my gaze downward without even thinking. Someone had dropped their student handbook. I stopped in my tracks. Had the girl with the boxes dropped it? As I stared at the student handbook, my thoughts began to wander. Doubt arose in my mind. Why had that student handbook fallen at that exact moment? It was way too conspicuous. It was practically begging to get picked up. Was it a trap? Had she dropped it on purpose? The girl had been carrying boxes with both hands. Her hands were occupied. If the student handbook had been in her skirt pocket, it would have been entirely impossible for her to take it out and drop it. However, I hadn't seen where it had fallen from. Maybe the girl had been holding it from the very beginning, hiding it beneath the boxes. I wasn't sure. It might not have been on purpose. The more realistic option was that it was just a coincidence. He really was like super extremely paranoid, wasn't he? I followed the girl's figure with my eyes. Or tried to, anyway. Uh. At that precise moment, the girl took a turn down the hall and disappeared. I had only seen her face for a split second. She hadn't looked like someone I knew. Her hair had been short, I think? No, maybe it had been long, actually. I couldn't say for sure which. Naturally, I hadn't seen her face either. When I'd passed her, it'd been hidden behind the boxes. The student handbook and I were now all alone in the hallway. The sensible options probably were to either pick it up and deliver it to the staff room, or rush after the girl and ask her about it. But I was hesitant to carry out either. I looked around me. There were no other students in sight. I could somewhat make out the sound of girls laughing happily in the distance. It probably wasn't a trap. The handbook's owner had already left. How could this possibly end up being a trap? Could there be a small bomb inside the handbook? No, that was way too unrealistic. If I picked up the handbook right at that moment, nothing would happen. Yeah, nothing was going to happen. Just in case, I should check the handbook to see who the girl was. She could have been one of Shogun's underlings. I should check her name, class, and photo, then leave the handbook here. I couldn't be bothered to go after her to give it back. Nevertheless, I still carefully scanned the area just to be sure no one was around. Then, after I was sure I was alone, I picked up the handbook and casually opened it to the first page. No, no, no! The student ID's all scratched out. Oh no, oh no! I hurriedly threw the handbook away. What was that? I'd never been so creeped out before. It was so unbelievably eerie. It didn't just scare me. I felt sick to my stomach. This was very clearly malicious, blatant harassment aimed specifically at me. Who would go so far as to do this? Wait, of course. It had to be the girl from before. That girl actually was Shogun's underling. She had to be. I'd only glanced at the student handbook, but all the information that should have been on the first page, such as the name, the birth date, and the class, were blacked out. Now, is it possible that this was potentially Hazuki-san, and we didn't know? She was older, right? Because she's a nurse, so I don't think she would have been able to pass as a... I mean, but she was pretty, so I don't know. Maybe they'd say, like, she was passable, but I'm trying to think of who that would have been scratched out. I don't think it's any one of our girls, so... I don't know. Interesting. In addition, the portrait that should have been attached had been removed. I felt like I was gonna puke. Oh! I was hit with an intense wave of nausea. I wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. Covering my mouth, I moved toward the stairs. I ran through the courtyard with no real destination in mind, until I could no longer hold back the urge to vomit. Oh dang, gosh, gross. He actually did throw up. The second I fell to my knees, the entire contents of my stomach began spilling out. The stomach acid made my throat burn. My vision blurred from tears. It was hard to breathe. The aftertaste was absolutely vile. I must have been way more maxed than I thought I was. It must have been because of the all-nighter I pulled. As I wiped the corners of my mouth, I looked all around me restlessly, but I couldn't see a soul. Alright, this is probably the end. Let me check. Yeah, it is. Okay, yep. Because he threw up before, too. Okay, she's still in the room. I think I also did neutral for this, so I'll try and do that again. No. I was probably just jumping to conclusions. It was a total stretch to think that a psychic ability existed just because something, a system using scientific means, was able to reproduce delusions as images.
You must find it by yourself. I do not know of any methods.
But what if the method to obtain a D-sword was by using such a psychic ability? So, let's suppose I had that ability within me. It might have been worth a try. Right, and then this is all the same? Oops, well, no, it wasn't. Okay, so I didn't do neutral last time. What did I do? Oh, I think I did the negative one, didn't I? Because I thought something was going to be bad. Okay, yeah, so I guess we'll see what this option was this time. I picked up the toy D-sword sitting in the corner of my room. I went to stand in the center of my room and brought my sword to eye level like I was an ESO character. Alright. I just needed to picture an image of a sword in my head. Themi was looking at me. Our eyes met. She was grinning at something. I could feel my face turning red. As per my usual habit, I'd held up the sword as if I were alone in this room. It must have been pretty painful to look at from Themi's perspective. I want to die. I calmed down and lowered the sword. I was too embarrassed to look at her. I'd rather not dig myself any deeper than I already had. I could only hope that she'd be gracious enough to pretend she hadn't seen it. If she did, I'd even be willing to get down on my hands and knees for her. My thoughts were then interrupted by Themi striking the final blow.
Hey, are you playing samurai?
I shook my head, no.
Do you do that regularly?
Once again, I shook my head.
Today's your first time?
This time I nodded.
Would you like me to be your sparring partner? I don't know much about fighting, though.
I shook my head vehemently. I'm telling you, I'm not playing samurai.
Hey, Taku? Why aren't you looking at me?
Isn't it obvious? I'm embarrassed, darn it! You saw something you should never have seen. The pure pain and suffering a man underwent when his girlfriend found his porn stash. It must have been comparable to what I was going through right now.
Taku, that...
Oh no. Did she hate me now? I didn't know if I could ever recover from that. I had to clear up the misunderstanding.
Was so cute!
Uh-huh. Yeah, last time I think she got mad and she's like, stop, you know, she got all angry at us. I think I chose that because I thought she would be like, you know, this is how you actually wake up your D-sword or whatever, and then it didn't happen, so.
That thing you just did? I could feel it right here in the heart!
Themi was writhing in delight as she tightly hugged the Seiratan body pillow that sat on my chair. I thought she was going to make fun of me, but judging from her attitude, she seemed to mean what she'd said. In other words, Themi had just unintentionally moed over me. I felt relieved. She didn't hate me. Oh, thank goodness. And I think this is where that part ends, right? Yeah, okay, now we're back to normal. Okay, here we go. Oh, yep, okay, this is the next one. So this one, it wants us to do negative. Interesting. Okay. Yep, so we're supposed to be negative here. So we will click the negative one. Speak of the devil. There she was, passing right next to me. With a face that looked like she was about to cry, she bowed her head to me. Despite how uncomfortable I felt, I managed to nod back. I watched as she attempted to leave through the school gate, tripping over herself along the way. Once again, I thought about how small she was. She fit the lolly archetype to a T. And on top of that, she was a clumsy girl, too. I didn't know her very well, but her perfect blend of personalities made me want to shout from the rooftops. She was loaded with moe traits. And yet, she didn't seem very popular with the other girls. What people valued in others really did differ between 2D and 3D, huh? Alright, let's see it. What's gonna happen? My vision suddenly went pitch black. I felt something push against my eyes. What the heck?
Who is it?
No freaking way! Could this be the legendary Who Is It game? The legends state it only exists within the world of 2D. Yet, she'd said the classic line. Could it be? Could it well and truly be? I never thought I'd ever experience it in my lifetime. As of right now, I'd basically won the game of life. Of course, I immediately knew the answer. That was the wheelchair, what the frick? After all, I was trained in the art of working out the voice actor just by hearing the anime character talk. But saying, "It's obviously you, Themi," would be pretty embarrassing. How should I answer? What was that?
So? Don't know the answer?
There was someone there. I could sense the presence of someone other than Themi. Since my vision was obscured, my hearing was particularly sensitive. In the location where we were now, someone other than Themi and I was there. And there was the sound of creaking metal. Oh, frick.
Whose eyes are those eyes?
My body was instantly seized by fear. I tried to shake off Themi's hand, but she held it firmly.
Hey, where do you think you're going? Answer the question, silly. No cheating allowed.
This was weird. Something was very, very wrong here. Why was she acting so carefree? Hadn't she noticed it? Or was she just pretending not to? I couldn't stand the fear of not being able to see what was going on, so I grabbed the delicate hands covering my eyes and ripped them away.
Taku?
Themi fought back even harder. As a result, we ended up wrestling a bit with each other, and Themi collided with my back. I felt the soft sensation of her bulging chest. But now wasn't the time to rejoice in that fact. Gosh darn it. Let me go! I somehow managed to shove Themi's hands aside and jump away. I then turned back toward her. Where is he? Where is Shogun? The only thing I saw was Themi, standing there with a bewildered look. I looked around the area, trying to find a wheelchair. But there was nothing. Absolutely nothing. He isn't here. That doesn't... I couldn't see him anywhere. Not in the large sport courts, and not by the entrance. There wasn't a single sign of an old man riding in a wheelchair. I'm sorry, Taku. Did I scare you? Themi looked very apologetic. It didn't seem like an act either. Was there someone there just now? What? An old man in a wheelchair. Themi tilted her head. I don't think so. I didn't see anyone. Were they with you before I got here? No, that's not what I meant. That's not what I became less and less confident in my assumption, even though I was so sure I'd heard those things. That sound of a wheelchair creaking, Shogun's chuckle. It was like he was mocking me. And whose eyes are those eyes? Had I hallucinated it? Was I really that anxious? That was probably it. It was probably nothing more than that. It's okay. Themi smiled at me, except it felt forced this time. I'll walk home with you, so there's no need to be afraid. Okay? Relief flooded into me from her words. Then, guided along by Themi, we headed toward the school gate. Interesting. All right, so yeah, Shogun was maybe playing with him in that delusion, but it didn't do the thing, I don't think, that time. I think it jumped right into the delusion, which is interesting. I want to know why it doesn't do that every time. I don't get what that means. Okay. Alright, this is the next one, and we are supposed to be positive, so let's put on our smiles, boys and girls. Discouraged, I hung up the phone. I wrapped my arms around myself. Before I knew it, my body had started trembling. I was more afraid of Shogun than I thought I was. But why wouldn't I be? He was a homicidal maniac posing as a handicapped person, and he'd already committed 5 unspeakable crimes. And I was the next one in his sights. Somebody save me. All right, let's see it. Oh my goodness! Taku! Themi! It was as if my prayers had been answered, like the cries of my heart had been heard. Themi really did always appear whenever I was in trouble. She opened the door and leapt into my room. Themi! Save me! Themi looked straight at me, then quickly examined our surroundings. Immediately realizing that the source of terror was my PC, she began typing on the keyboard with an angry expression. Shut your mouth, stupid. Leave Taku alone or I'll kick your butt. That's awesome. You have to be ruthless at times like this. Themi looked back at me and smiled gently. If you're real upfront with them,
The bullies will back off a lot easier than you'd think.
Was that really how it worked? Demi was only that reckless because she didn't know much about the internet. Being that blunt would only make the other person even madder. And here, the other person was Shogun. As I stared at the monitor with bated breath, Shogun sent yet another message. You're dead, what the frick? Whoa, what the frick? The room went silent. What the heck? I knew it. It really had ticked him off. The tone of his last message was very clearly different.
He's all talk, I promise. It's not like some random person would take that personally enough to come barging in here or something. More importantly, are you doing okay, Taku? Sorry I missed your call. I was already almost here, so I figured I'd just wait until I saw you in person. After the earthquake hit, I was so worried about you that I ran here as fast as I could. And I'm glad I did.
While I was listening to Demi's voice, I couldn't take my eyes off the monitor. His message had left me deeply unsettled. You're dead. Why the heck?
But I'm here now, so everything's A-okay. You don't have to worry about a thing.
Why the heck did you do that? He'll kill me. He's gonna kill me. I have to get out of here fast.
Calm down. He's not gonna kill you. You're overthinking.
Ew, her eyes! Ew, gross! Oh, I don't like that. That would have scared the crap out of me when I was first going through it. Suddenly, Demi went silent. Her eyebrows furrowed, and she looked up at the ceiling. What's wrong?
Whose eyes are those eyes?
Her voice was a soft murmur. Suddenly, Demi's face contorted, and she grabbed at her head with both hands.
My head. It hurts.
Huh? Huh?
It hurts. It feels like it's gonna split in two.
Unable to endure the pain anymore, Demi fell to the floor. She was shaking her head madly.
Where did this come from?
Don't tell me! My gaze shot toward the ceiling. No, not the ceiling. Toward the sky. Beyond the ceiling. Toward the artificial satellite that might or might not exist. Was Shogun attacking? Oh no.
It hurts! It hurts! It hurts! It hurts! My head! It's gonna split open!
Oh, frick. Plip. A drop of blood fell from Demi's nose. Suddenly, her half moans, half screams ceased. Demi's body shook violently as she staggered. And then, she dropped to the floor head first. Oh my gosh.
Me?
There was no answer. She didn't even twitch. He'd killed her. Using a satellite. Using EM waves. Shogun had killed Demi. How? They'd been so quiet. He'd killed Demi with neither sound nor smell, without even a hint of his presence. It'd been way too quiet, but that only made it even more terrifying. There was no escape. I kneeled to the floor and shook Demi's shoulder. Hey, wake up! Demi! There was no escape. No matter where I went on Earth, there would be no escape. Don't leave me alone. Wherever I would try to flee, Shogun would be able to attack from high above in the sky. This can't be! This can't be real! Oh, frick. Yep. And then we're back here. When I returned to my senses, I was still in front of the monitor. The answer Demi had written earlier had vanished. And Shogun's "You're dead" had too. I looked back toward the rest of the room, and Demi's body was nowhere to be found. That was weird. That was supposed to be a positive delusion, and it wasn't. I guess the positive was that Demi came to save him, but it ended poorly, so that's weird. I felt relieved that Demi wasn't actually dead, but I was disappointed that she hadn't shown up. Why? Why wasn't she here yet? I was absolutely terrified. I needed her now more than ever. Shogun had already left the chat room. All that remained were those 4 lines. I didn't want to see any of it, so I hurriedly closed the chat room while Shogun wasn't in it. My body was still trembling. Shogun was trying to provoke me. Was it fun screwing with me like this? Had I been chosen as the Is that it? Oh, that is it. Okay. Figured I'd check. Oh, it stopped me! Oh, weird! Okay. What is this? Interesting. Okay, so this is when Suwa went to go try to talk to Hazuki-san. And that's interesting knowing this now, right? Because we know that he was trying to talk to her. Excuse me, that we know that he was trying to talk. We know that they're on the same team now. So when she was saying, it's best not to talk about this while I'm at work, he was like, I just have to say something real quick, right? But I feel like he was talking about the investigation. Man, I don't remember what he was talking about now. Oh, dang. Oh, man. And now she has glasses. That's funny. Did she always have this badge here? I don't remember this. I don't remember that. Huh. Okay. But anyway, we stopped here, so I guess we gotta listen to this for a second. Suwa and Hazuki suddenly went silent, then looked up at the ceiling. They then looked back down and stared at each other. Phew. After Suwa sighed, Hazuki's perplexed expression suddenly changed. We're not being watched anymore. Whose eyes are those eyes? Am I right? Yo, what the frick? Yo, we didn't see this last time. Now they're showing us this other side of them. What the heck is happening? Oh no. Oh, what are we gonna get? Suddenly, an air of familiarity was injected into the words that the two exchanged. The sense that the two could not be anything other than old friends was loaded into every other word. Did you find the original Nishijo Takami?
No. But I know that he's somewhere in this hospital.
Yo, they were looking for him. What the heck?
These are his medical records. He's known to suffer from somnambulism.
Somnambulism? What the frick? Oh, that's the aging thing, right? In sharp contrast to how resistant she had been to hand it over before, Hazuki readily passed the medical record to Suwa. She had already had it in her possession, as if she had somehow predicted that Suwa would pay her a visit. You're the best. Alrighty then, on to the next stage. We're gonna lead him to O-Front. Then we'll force him to awaken.
Are you planning to make contact with him?
Yep. But I'm gonna hide my face. Oh yeah, yep, this is the Darth Spider thing, right? Oh man. With a mischievous smile, Suwa placed a gentle kiss on Hazuki's lips. Ew, dude, they were a couple? Ew, dude, gross. A freaking serial killer and well, I mean, he's not a serial killer, but he was freaking insane, so. Dude, what the heck? Let's get this cosplay party started. Yo, oh man. Dude, so we wouldn't have known that the first time around. They showed us differently this time, so yeah, wow, what the frick. Oh my goodness. Wow.